This week on Mustaches and Coffee, we have a special guest. N64 Josh from the Nintendo Powercast joins us for a special interview.
Pour the
Time to pour the
coffee.
coffee.
Top of the mustache to you, and welcome to a special episode of Mustaches and Coffee. Where the topics go, nobody knows. I'm Isaac,
I'm Ben.
I'm Josh.
and welcome in, Josh. It's great to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing so good. So excited to be a part of this brand new show and hanging out with you guys.
We're excited to have you, man. It's
Yeah.
great to have you on. We thank you so much. We know you're a busy man, but we're gonna have some fun. We look forward to this interview. We're gonna have some pretty straightforward questions, but I think you're gonna have a nice chuckle with a few of them too. We got some surprises for you.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, we're just gonna jump right into it. Since this is a special interview, we're gonna go right into the interview. N64 Josh has a podcast, Nintendo Powercast. So we thought it was fitting to have him on for an interview, to ask him the questions concerning all things Nintendo. But before we do that, we're going to get into the man himself, the man behind the mic, so to say. So let's just start with from the beginning. Uh, what got you into gaming? What's some maybe early gaming memory where you thought this is something I'm going to really be passionate about and enjoy?
Yeah, it goes all the way back to the early 80s. And my uncle, who he graduated in 86 and I started kindergarten in 86. So he started me very young on the Atari and with plenty of trips to the arcade as well. And I grew up on a 40-acre dairy farm actually. And I had one neighbor that was close by that my mom would let me go and visit because I mean I was probably 4 or 5 years old, like walking down the street a little bit, and he had an Atari over there. So my uncle's house was behind my house, and I would head down the driveway. I'd run down to the bar and be like, "Hey, can I borrow an Atari game?" He'd be like, "Yeah, you take two." And then I'd run over to his house, go inside, grab two Atari games, head over to my friend's house, and then play Atari until his mom kicked us out and was like, "It's nice outside. Quit wasting time playing video games." Right. So that's how it got started. And then um, there was a magical day in the summer while I was swimming at my grandmother's house at the lake that she lived on, and my aunt was there with her stepson, and he had this gray box with these rectangle controllers with red buttons and black D-pads that you know weren't an Atari joystick. And he turned it on, and I saw the Legend of Zelda come up on the screen, and I was like, "What
Yeah.
is this glorious thing I'm seeing? This is the arcade at home, right?" That
Yeah.
was like growing up in the 80s. It was always the goal was always to get the arcade at home, and so I was like, "This is incredible. I'm this little elf running around in this forest, shooting beams out of my sword." Until my mom was like, "Get it back outside, go swim." Like she kept like barking in my ear. I'm like, "Come on, this is the most amazing thing I've ever done. You can't make me go swim right now."
Yeah.
Eventually kicked me out. And that 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 year, my aunt seeing me like enjoy the game so much ended up getting us a family gift. My sisters were not happy about it because they were like, "What is this?" It was early enough in the Nintendo's life that it was still the gray zapper, the whole power set or whatever.
Mhm.
And so Duck Hunt, Super Mario Brothers, begging my dad to set it up. He's like, not till after we eat. And he set it up. And the uncle that got me into gaming, I remember he was like flying through the levels, and I would like die in 1, 2. And I think I remember getting like frustrated and probably crying. I mean, I was young because I wanted to beat the game. And he's like, yo, you just got to enjoy the journey. And I was like, oh, okay. All right. So the rest is kind of history from there. Once I got my own NES, it was game over.
Oh
I
yeah.
just I do have to ask, how many times did your NES end up freezing on you? Do you have
Oh
recollection?
yeah, I wrote that. No, I mean it. I mean, we all remember like having to blow in the cartridge, thinking
Mhm.
that was doing something when really it was just every time we placed it back inside, we were trying to reconnect the pins. I mean, I can see an NES on my shelf right here, right? And when I take that thing down, I've got this technique I do with my thumbs where I like don't press it all the way in, only partial, and then like I know not to push too far on the left and that kind of thing. Like, and so yeah, it was sometimes it was devastating if they'd freeze mid game. We didn't have
Yep.
the saves
Yeah.
that they had now. Thankfully, games like Metroid, you could write the codes down and punch them back in, or Mike Tyson's Punch Out.
Yeah.
Nice.
I grew up with the passwords. They were just either objects or symbols.
Yep.
And that was what was tricky because normally the words you could remember, but when it was a symbol, you're like, how do I draw this? How do I get this? So yeah,
Yep.
that's an awesome memory to have going back to Atari because that's back when gaming wasn't what it is today. If you played games back then, it was kind of, hey, what's this? It was like somebody got a brand new toy, not so much today where gaming is so widespread. So that's awesome. That's giving us a little more insight on your background. But with that thought of being into games, what gave you the idea to start a podcast focused on Nintendo?
So that I mean, I started podcasting about 16 years ago. Actually, the first podcast I was ever on was I don't even know if it still exists. It was called the Entrepreneur Dad Podcast, and
Huh.
like I had started getting into the online business space, right, and starting to learn marketing, online marketing, and all that, and then started a photography blog called photographytipshq.com. Don't go to it. I think it's been hacked. Don't like it's not my site anymore. So um but then started a podcast for that, like interviewing photographers on how on like getting business tips, and it started to kind of just get I started to fizzle on it, right? I wasn't super passionate about it. And so then and this is kind of a long-winded answer, so forgive me, but
No, you're good.
I was like, my passion is gaming, and I'm gonna do a gaming podcast. So I started the N64 gaming podcast. Okay. And in 30 days, I did 30 episodes. I worked 4 10s at my
Wow,
job, and then I would line up 7 interviews on Friday, and I would just interview one after the other.
Whoa.
man.
Well, it's the N64 gaming podcast. I'm mainly interviewing indie devs and then doing
Yeah.
one retro episode a week. So the branding was all off, and it wasn't. But I met some really really cool people. Like I got to give a shout out to my boy Rob and Jay from the Nintendo Quest. If you guys have never seen that movie, it's on Amazon Prime, I believe. Go check it out. Because I met them, I'm on IMDb because he put me in a
Oh, yeah.
documentary called the Box Art Documentary, the video game Box Art Documentary, where I talk about Super Mario Brothers 2. And so not too long ago, I fired up Amazon Prime, found it, and was like, "That's me on TV at E3 being interviewed by Rob." And so, just really cool. I mean, again,
Wow.
because of podcasting, right? Like,
Yeah.
if I had never started doing it, it wouldn't have happened. So, fast forward, I get into the game Destiny,
Mm,
and I decide to start the lootcave.com. Somebody else has that now. It's no longer mine.
mm.
I think it's a guy selling gaming related stuff. Uh, and so that was a Destiny podcast. Had that going for a while. It's funny is some of my first interviews are now with people that are like community managers at Bungie. Like they were just like people on
Wow.
Reddit that Cosmo is just one of the main mods on the Reddit, and now he's their main community manager. And so started that show. Then the Dads of Destiny asked me to become one of the co-hosts on there, and we changed the name to Aim Assist Gaming. And then got to cover E3. My first convention was Screw Attack, and then when that disbanded, I kept the Loot Cast going, and Bungie, because I knew Cosmo, he invited me to the reveal of Destiny 2 down in Anaheim. And so rubbing shoulders with massive YouTubers, got to meet Fran Mirabella, who he's the one that gave Mario Kart Double Dash the 7.9 on IGN.
Oh,
And
that guy.
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I walked up to him. I was like, Fran? He's like, yeah. Like, we need to talk about your Double Dash review. He's like, you're not gonna shank me, right? I was like, no. And we hit it off from that point, and saw each other. Like, I got to do the Loot Cast live from Guardian Con, is what it was called back in the day, in Florida, which was the big fundraiser for the Destiny community, raising funds for St. Jude. So I mean, so many cool things. Well, then the Switch got announced, and I was like, you know what? Nintendo is really my ultimate passion. And I started like looking up Switch podcasts, and I found the Switch Cast, and I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a Nintendo podcast, because that's what I love. And so
Yeah.
I started it. The Nintendo Powercast started on February 23rd, 7 years ago. Turned 7 this year.
Congrats.
And
Yeah.
thanks. And 9 months later, Nintendo started the Nintendo Power Podcast. Well, guess what? They didn't have any of I had all their SEO juice. So everybody searching for Nintendo Power Podcast found the Nintendo Powercast, and a lot of them stayed. I literally watched my numbers go from like hundreds of downloads to thousands of downloads.
Wow.
Whoa.
And yeah, and the rest is kind of history.
So that's a lesson, kiddos. If you are starting out, jump on those names for your SEO, because you never know. You could have control of that domain. That is awesome. I would have never have thought of that. This is you fit keep the talking going, because I love this insight. This is something that it's like I'm watching a special documentary behind the scenes, because I really enjoy what you bring out on the podcast, but I would have never thought that's how you would have got your start. So that's just awesome. What
It Because of it, I'm still like, but depending on the day, number 1 to number 4 if you search Nintendo on Apple.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's literally what, without the right SEO, I wouldn't. It would have been a different story in so many cases.
Yeah, absolutely. That's something that I keep myself doing research on, but it's very, very important. So that's an excellent point to bring out. I appreciate that. And kind of goes into the other question. You have so many projects, not just podcasting, that you do. Um, it's not to show any disrespect, but if you feel like there's a project you enjoy, I was going to ask, what do you enjoy doing the most? Do you like doing podcasts, or do you like doing, some of these other projects? And I know you have a passion for all those, so I know that's a loaded question to kind of take on too.
It's a super loaded question, and it can actually get really, really deep if you want me to go there. It's a lot of it has to do, like, I mean, I'll be straight with you guys. I've been in therapy. I've dealt with depression. A
Sure.
lot of my projects have been about trying to prove my own worth to myself, because
Sure.
it was like, I need something that proves I have value. I
Huh.
didn't just believe that, right? So that's part of the reason. And what I learned recently is, and it's funny because if you talk to an older generation, a lot of them will be like, hard work, right? I grew up on a farm, right? It was like, I've heard my dad, my uncle, my grandfather, all these people talk about, like, if you don't work hard, you're nothing, right? And so I took that to an extreme. At one point, I was sleeping 3 hours a day, working 10 hours a day, and my doing physical labor, hitting the gym, and streaming 8 hours a day, give or take. I mean, I was basically going 21 hours a day, sleeping 3, and doing that like for most of 2019.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was the trick. That was going to be the trick to my success, right? And then I would finally see my own value in that success. And it's like your value's already there. And if you
Yeah.
don't believe that ahead of time, you're never going to attract people to you because they can smell it. It's like dogs can smell fear, right? It's there's your vibe brings your tribe. And so the reason and now I'm in this place where I'm like, you talk about a lot of projects. Like I make ads for TikTok. I'm an affiliate on TikTok. I promote my own stuff on TikTok. I'm live streaming on TikTok. I'm live streaming on Twitch, YouTube. I'm podcasting. I'm doing music projects. I'm a director of marketing for a startup. Like I do consulting. I do like it's nonstop, right? I'm usually working 7 days a week. And what happens is, I'm like Bilbo Baggins. I'm butter spread over too much bread. And so like a lot of times I'll get paralysis where I'm like, I don't think I'm doing enough. And then I don't know what I should do next. And what never works when it comes to this kind of stuff is saying, a lot of times people will ask you with your life, what do you want? Right. My answer was always, I just want something to work. And that's not how it works. You have to say no. Like, look at all the best musicians, the best sports, the best athletes, they knew what they were and they went for it. And that's how you have to view it. But I never knew what I was. And I always was waiting for something to show me what I was, what my value was. And because of that, it's always hindered me along the way. I just kept my value was in hard work. So it was like, if I'm working hard, I got to be doing it right. And it's like, no, I'm killing myself at the end of the day. And I remember sitting in therapy like a ball of nerves, just like, why doesn't anything I do work? Why do I feel like a failure? And like, it's just like, give yourself a break, take a breath, and don't miss out. I mean, it's the whole message of my book, Another Castle. Like, love the journey, right? The goal is great, but like, love the process of getting there. Love leveling up. Love getting the fire flower for the first time, or getting the star, and like, stomping on all the Goombas. And I didn't do that. I a lot of times was just trying to, like, being like somewhat of a public figure. A lot of people would come to my streams and that kind of stuff. And I was always trying to encourage them, always trying to put a smile on their face. But on the inside, it was darkness. It was a lot of darkness.
Yeah. I appreciate your thoughts on that. And
your honesty.
that's a very personal sentiment that you're talking about. But I can tell you, I felt like I was going to run through a wall just now. Just that motivation you're bringing up of that. So that's just awesome. That's great because you get so wrapped up in what is the here and now. You're thinking so far ahead. You want to get ahead in life, but that's just the perfect way to put it. Enjoy the moment and leveling up, so to say. That's a phrase I really appreciate. I might have to use that. I might steal that from you if you don't mind. So,
Heck yeah.
Yeah, I think we got to all smash our personal Goombas in life.
yep,
Oh yeah.
exactly. You never know when they're coming either. They just can be right around the corner. So, and talking upon that theme, so kind of shifting gears a little bit, you have the podcast that talks about Nintendo. We've established how you kind of got control of that with the SEO, which is just awesome. But when it comes to that, you talk about Nintendo, you know about Nintendo, you have your updates. So, what is just your personal take about the landscape of Nintendo today? What are your feelings on maybe some things you like what they're doing right now? And it doesn't have to go into great detail, just, maybe some mention, or what are some things you think Nintendo could always improve on?
It's such an interesting time in gaming, honestly. Like, we're talking today and 900 people just got let go from Sony. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys saw that news,
Wow.
but like, yeah, 900 people lost their jobs today. And it's the landscape of gaming is changing so much. And Nintendo has gone this route of like, they're almost like the forever handheld company
Yeah.
at this point, right? Like, I know the Switch can be played on your TV and everything, but like, the handheld market was always cheaper to develop for. It was lower resolution. it wasn't bleeding edge technology. They were just, and that's what the Switch is, and it's paying off. It's paying dividends, right? Like they've always been profitable on the hardware. The development for it's probably not nearly as intense as like a Last of Us, or some of those like Horizon Zero Dawn or Gears of War or Halo Infinite, all those games. And so they've been able to keep their costs down while also utilizing that brand muscle to really drive massive sales. I mean, Mario Kart's selling like what, 60 million units or something. It's just like
Nuts.
it's unbelievable, right? And so but it's in a strange place right now because like there's a new system around the corner,
Yeah.
and we even had a Pokemon Presents today. Their new game isn't to 2025. Well, a lot of people are speculating that that's because the new system got pushed, that was supposed to, everybody is assuming was supposed to come out this year.
Yeah.
And so now it's in kind of like we're kind of in limbo. Like what's going to happen? Like we have a Nintendo Direct, but it was a partner direct. The first party games coming out right now is like Peach's Showtime or whatever, and it's like it
Yeah.
looks very very niche, like for a particular audience,
Right.
right? And then we got all these remakes that are coming out, and some of these remakes, I hate to say it, but they're a little bit overpriced, right?
I
Like
agree.
Mario versus Donkey Kong, like I understand the nostalgia, but like being able to play through that game in like a very short amount of time, albeit I had fun with it, but it either needed to be twice as long, or the price needed to be probably around $30, like. But
Yeah.
again, they've got that brand muscle. How much longer can they flex it before people are like, yeah, we're not spending that money. People, Luigi's Mansion, the topic on X is that it's $60, and Luigi's Mansion 2, the DS game. Now,
Yeah.
granted, there's still work that goes into it. I get it, but like they're games that have been out before. So is that $60 price tag necessary? But at the end of the day, games are business, and
Mhm.
I've had people that get so angry at me for saying that. Like there are, and
Mm.
don't get me wrong, there's blood, sweat, and tears that go into it. There is art that comes out, and those artists lost their job today. And the
Yeah.
people that make those decisions are still sitting on piles of cash. And
Yeah.
so it's, thankfully a company like Nintendo, Iwata, when the Wii U was suffering, he cut his salary in half, because
Yeah.
he's like, I know if I can keep the morale of my workers up, they're going to produce better games, right? He was really a true leader.
Yeah.
And Nintendo took steps not just recently to make sure that the work life balance was good for their employees, like bumping salaries and things like that. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of good there. And I saw a tweet from Mike. I think Mike Micah is his name, and he's famous for swapping out Pauline and Donkey Kong. So his daughter was like, or swapping out Pauline and Mario. So because she wanted to rescue Mario, not rescue the princess, and so
Oh yeah.
he reprogrammed it. And uh and he tweeted today that like it feels like 1983, where they the video games, the market has crashed, and Nintendo is right around the corner with this new system and stuff. And so just it's just an interesting time. But I mean, love or hate them, Nintendo is always going to have a place of nostalgia for me. And that is, I mean, I got Mario on my shirt, I got Mario Kart
Yeah.
tattooed on my arm. Like I can't help but feel good when I see Nintendo, when I play Nintendo, because it takes me back to when I was younger. Just so many fond memories. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's kind of how I was feeling too. I appreciate you bringing that out about, you know, people feeling strongly about these games and the prices. But I do feel like Nintendo, they kind of go up and down. Sometimes they're almost pulling out all the wild cards of we're gonna do the most zany games, most innovative games, and then it's like either they get content when they're doing well, that they get a little lazy. I don't know if that's the right word because that'll definitely cause a lot of hate. People come after me. I understand there's still a lot of work that goes into it, but I know that's something you talked about on your podcast in the past. Take, for example, the sports games. Those used to be universally loved and just respected, but what's going on with the Switch? We see there's a lot of half games almost. They
Yep.
don't release a full game and it's $60. So that does bring a little concern with Nintendo. And I, like you, I have so much history with Nintendo that it's just, you have that nostalgia, you have that growing up. You just hope that it doesn't go much further than that. Hopefully they can get that corrected. Um, kind of switching a little bit, still on Nintendo, but there was a recent direct, and I think you touched on that on your podcast. But what would you rate that direct? It wasn't a Nintendo direct; it was more of a partnership, but it was still kind of giving you an idea of what to expect this year. What would you rate that direct, just from your personal perspective?
Yeah, I gave it an 8.5. Like I went into it with very low expectations, knowing we're at the end of the Switch's life cycle, knowing that it's a partner direct. Like I'm excited of, like, again, it's a lot of remakes, you know,
Yeah,
but we got some of my, like, I can't be mad at getting Killer Instinct on the Switch. I never thought that would be possible. Never thought I would see that, you know, and to see Rare really, like, to see Xbox and Nintendo really playing nice and getting a lot of these Rare games on Nintendo Switch Online. I wish I knew the deal that was being struck between um those guys, because, like, who's how are they making money? What is the deal that they struck up? You know, it's
it's
just, it's wild.
Microsoft.
But yeah. And and then, you know, the Star Wars games that got, they're getting the remakes, and I don't know, even Endless Ocean kind of piqued my interest.
Yeah,
I didn't think it would be something that I'd be all that interested in, but, like, doing a little more research on it, I'm a little more excited about it than I was. And
yeah.
I always look at those directs as, like, they're not going to always be for me, but hopefully there's something there for everybody. And you know, there's lots of JRPGs. My backlog is so massive right now that I'm like, I almost watched the direct and I'm like, I hope there's nothing that's
Yeah.
going to, like, you know, make me have to add another game to the backlog. So
I'm in the same boat. There's so many games I'm, got kids and whatnot. Just I think that's everybody this time of the year. It seems like it ramps back up coming back from winter break and everything. But I felt the exact same way as you. I was like, oh, I hope there's nothing that's just such spectacular. The must miss, Metroid Prime 4 or something. I'm trying to think of that m- can't miss game that'll come out. But that is something I appreciate because a lot of people are going into this direct thinking they're going to release the Switch 2 and they're going to have all these announcements, but I had the same perspective too. I appreciate you saying that. You got to have the right expectations with these directs and announcements and whatnot. We're excited. We're waiting
Yeah.
for the next big thing, but at the same time, you got to have the right perspective on things. So, uh, last thing I was just going to bring up as far as Nintendo, you kind of touched on it a little bit about the Switch 2, but where do you see Nintendo the next year? What is I guess, your prediction? Maybe throw out when you think they will release the Switch 2 or anything, a hot take, I guess, that would be completely out of left field. What's some predictions?
I feel like there's been so many leaks and rumors and everything that it has honestly swayed my opinion. The fact that, like, we did not see them announce, like, we didn't have a full direct this month.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think it's going to be 2025. Pokemon said their new game is coming out 2025. We have not had a Pokemon, like, there has not been a Pokemon game,
Yeah.
right? Or DLC for the games, like
Yeah.
we've always known. And they're pushing the card game harder than anything else, it seems like, right now, from their direct. So I think it's going to be 2025. I think it's going to be a massive year. I think they're ramping up again to get all their ducks in a row, because the Switch, I believe, was successful because of the first 2 years where Nintendo
Mhm.
said, we are not counting on anybody but ourselves to make sure that there is a steady flow of software.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's been a lot of these games have been in development for quite some time now. We can only assume Animal Crossing's been in some kind of development. That, I mean,
Mhm.
I don't think Smash has been in any kind of development, but we can assume that they're going to probably do like a deluxe edition with that. The thing I want mostly with that is give us rollback. It's a better way of playing online fighting games that has less lag.
Mm.
And the only thing that I'm like really, 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 really want is the next Mario Kart. Like I just that is that is what I'm the most excited about. I'll show you guys. I know you guys may not be seeing the video of this, but I'll show the guys that are here now. I got this
Oh.
tire.
Oh wow.
This is a tire. This is a candy tin from Super Nintendo World in Japan.
Wow.
And they've got
Nice.
some really, really cool Mario Kart stuff over there. And so I'm such a huge Mario Kart fan. It's what like most of my community plays, and we race together every time I go live. And so not only do I want a new Mario Kart, I want a Mario Kart um games as a service. I want to buy Mario Kart battle passes, and I want to have something to continually race and grind, just like I think Mario Kart could be, you know, as successful as Fortnite, honestly. And so
Oh yeah.
like I mean, at least have a Fortnite's such a massive just a massive game. But I mean, as far as like I think the formula is there. If they did the battle pass thing and everything, I think everybody plays Mario Kart, right? Like there's very few people that don't. And so I mean, over half the Switch owners right now, or around half, all own Mario Kart. So that's what I'd love to see. I see Ben has his hand raised.
Yeah, so very quick story about Mario Kart. So this is how much I like Mario Kart. So when I first moved into my apartment, I didn't have any music or anything. I just remember putting on the intro for Mario Kart, like doing the dishes. So just had that playing.
I love it. Which one? The very first one, or
The
Wii,
N64.
N64? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many times have you heard Charles Martinet say, "Welcome to Mario Kart"? Like, and that Nintendo that's spinning with the tire, with the like the car rolling by. Like, man, that must have been.
It's still in my sleep. It's still playing.
I bet, yeah.
That's the thing. It's like the Nintendo soundtrack. So many games you could just put it on and listen to it. And that's the other thing I was going to bring out, your passion and love for Mario Kart. That's just something that there's so much history. I think you can ask, just like with Ben, you know, what's some history that you have? They might say Mario Kart 64, they might say the very first one on Super Nintendo, or Nintendo Wii Mario Kart. That was a smash. You know, that you're talking about 60 million. I think that was up till this recent Mario Kart, that was the number one seller. So
Yeah,
it's got that
like
storied history there.
38 million. I just acquired the
Ah,
cardboard box
wow.
of the wheel. So I just ordered that last week. So I've been on a kick where I'm ordering different complete in box. This is the Japanese
Oh
Super
man.
Famicom
Awesome.
box as well. This was a birthday gift. So yeah, I have a sickness right now. I have a literal sickness.
That's just awesome, because I'm fascinated with Japanese versions too. They have really interesting box art when you look at them compared to what you get in the States. So that's really cool.
I have the I can't reach it right now, but I have the 64 Mario Kart. It's a special edition that came with a black and gray 64 controller. It's black on top and gray on bottom.
Oh.
And so I have the box for that. I also have a Double Dash Japanese version as well. And then I have a German version of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Special Edition, because I really wanted the blue shell trophy, or like and it was easily accessible to every other country but the US. You had to go to a Nintendo store to get the special edition of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. That now sells for close to $3,000, like to try to find that, because it was the only place you could get it to have the blue shell statue. But I happened to find a Amazon special edition, so I also have the steelbook for Mario Kart 8, as well as the little trophy and stuff. So like I said, it's kind of a sickness. I just got the Super Circuit in the box, and I really kind of want then I saw the European like Super Mario Kart, and it's blue instead of a black box, like, and I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to go that route too. So yeah, it's bad news. And the wheel, Club Nintendo in Japan has all these different wheels. Like they have a gold one. They have. I'm just
Oh,
like, and I'm
Nice.
thinking they look really cool, like
oh,
displayed on the like on the wall or something. So yeah, it's a sickness.
I just
you're in
can't.
trouble.
I
Yeah.
can't get German Mario out of my head. Just going, oh nine, oh
yeah,
nine.
yeah,
Would he still
yeah,
say
for
"Mamma
sure.
Mia" that in German? That would be my question. But yeah, eh, that kind of goes with a question. I had a prediction when it comes to the Switch too, because you said you hope there's a Mario Kart. Would it be 10? Because are we counting the home circuit? Um, whatever the next.
And tour, I guess, and so
Yeah.
one of the two. And apparently the rumor is it's Mario Kart 10, Mario Kart X Crossroads is the name of
Okay.
it, apparently.
Yeah. So my thought is, do you think Nintendo might go that route, or they're trying to play it safe that maybe I don't know what else you can call it from deluxe, but you're able to bring that onto the Switch too by some kind of code. And that's where I'm wondering the wheels turn with Nintendo that, hey, we can have people bring their catalog from the Switch over if we charge $1, $2 per game. Do you think that's something Nintendo would do? That's something I've always wondered when it comes to going to the next generation in the day and age we're in.
They did that with the Wii to the Wii U,
Yeah.
and they better not, is all I could say. Like I don't, they've pushed digital too much. They've pushed these vouchers, right? Like you're talking about, like, if you're buying digital, you kind of expect at this point that library is going to go with you from this point forward. Like
Right.
we were kind of hosed, honestly, with the Wii and the Wii U. Like
Mhm.
usually you can still go back and re-download those things, but eventually they tend to turn their server. I think you can still go back on the Wii U and download your old games, or on the Wii and the Wii U,
Okay.
uh but I really hope that going forward that my digital purchases are going to go with me, similar to how Xbox does it. You open up your Xbox and it's like you got 360 games, you got the OG Xbox games, you got Xbox One
Mhm.
games, like they're all there. And I honestly see the future of gaming is going to be memberships, and
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
cloud gaming, and a lot of moving games on and off your system. And so I think Nintendo Switch Online is Nintendo really dipping their toes in the water of that. And and again, hopefully our libraries just go with us from this point forward, because there's people that have invested significant amounts of cash into their libraries that we shouldn't have to pay. Like Sony pay $10 for the upgrade path or whatever, and it's like, don't I guess
Yeah.
it's only $10. It's not the end of the world, especially if it's an upgrade, like where they
Mhm.
can guarantee faster frame rates and higher resolutions and stuff, like. but
Yeah.
but even still, like let's come out with new games. Like let's
Right.
not just keep
Mhm.
rehashing we've had enough re-releases on the
Yes.
on
Yes.
the Switch. So
Yeah, that's what we talked about, exactly, and that's where I'm with you as well. I hope they don't go that route, but given you're in with those rumors and leaks, I didn't know if that would be, something you might have heard, because I really hope not either. This is out of all the systems I've owned, I've never had more games than I have on the Switch. I have to scroll. I've never thought I'd say that, like you mentioned, we're in a time where digital is pushed more. I have so many games, I have to scroll to get to them sometimes. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I wanna play this game. It's been a while. Wait, where is it?" I gotta go down to find it. So that was
mhm.
something I really was curious, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Like you said, we're gonna be getting some kind of news hopefully here soon. You would think with E3 being gone, Nintendo's still going to have some kind of announcement. Is that what you're thinking? Maybe spring, summertime, we should be getting something.
According to the leaks, trying to remember, an indie showcase in April, I believe, is what the and this is a leaker that is usually very accurate. His name's Pyro on X.
Okay.
And then a full-on Nintendo Direct in June. I believe
Okay.
I'm just pulling this off of my head. Like I've
Sure.
seen like a roadmap, right? I just don't know. I may not be getting the dates exact, but essentially it's like an Indie World Direct, then a main direct, and that main direct will talk about the new Switch. I think if they're not pushing it till 2025, I don't know if they would undermine all of their marketing for the holiday with the Switch unless they're going to do a bunch of price drops on everything and then like, hey, you can still get this. Maybe they will mention that your library will go with you, like, so. And it's, it's so interesting when you're in the gaming space, you kind of start to assume that like, oh, everybody no, there are still random people that walk into Target and go, what's the latest game? Walk into GameStop and they're like, what's the latest game? And then, they pick up a Switch or they pick up Mario Kart or whatever the case may be, and so that still very much happens. And so it's again, business wise, I'm not sure how they handle it all. But Pokemon's tweet today said, or not the tweet, but they're in their direct was releasing on Nintendo Switch systems in 2025. And so that verbiage is just kind of like, what? Like
Yeah.
Nintendo Switch systems? Okay. So, I mean, yeah, we have the Lite, we have but nobody ever says that, right? They always just say the Nintendo Switch. So, like,
Yeah.
it's just kind of interesting. Monster Hunter doesn't have Nintendo as announced in their newest game coming out, and Monster Hunter's always first on Nintendo consoles. So probably coming later, potentially if the Switch is delayed, or maybe it is a release game, like maybe it's a launch title that's in the same window. I don't know, but it's it. I think I think 2025 will be the year, and we'll hopefully the libraries follow us. That's all I gotta say.
I'm with
Hopefully
you.
so.
I'm hoping they don't get too greedy because Nintendo, this sometimes don't. They'll really cater to the fans, and I think that's why we have that nostalgia. Um, we just don't know. That's a good point. We just gotta wait and see. Looking forward to 2025. So, well, I appreciate your thoughts. We're gonna mix it up a little bit now. So the questions are gonna be rapid fire. So we've kind of had a discussion. We are able to hear from you, but we just want if you have a little comment to add, feel free to. But again, the segment is a rapid fire. So are you ready? I'm just gonna go through these real quick,
I'm
and
ready.
we'll see what we got. All right. So here we go. Mario 1 or Mario 2?
Oh, Mario. Oh, this is the worst. Oh my God. I guess Mario 1. Oh, that's
Oh,
hard.
Mario. That is a tough one. So Mario 3 or Super Mario World?
Oh my. You've listened to our podcast. You know the heated
I might.
debates.
I might.
I think I've said in the past World, but I love them almost equally, but I think World.
Okay, good choice. But I'm with you. That's a tough one. Yoshi's Island or Mario Sunshine?
Sunshine.
All right. Ben's a big Sunshine fan,
Oh
so
yeah.
Mario 64 or Mario Odyssey?
Odyssey.
All right. I'm actually with you on that. I didn't think I would think that, but Mario Galaxy or Mario Galaxy 2?
2.
All right. Mario Land or Mario Land 2 for the Game Boy?
Tough one, 2.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Mario RPG or Paper Mario?
RPG, because that's the one I just beat, and I've really not played much Paper Mario, so that's the only reason.
If I know some people like the Thousand Year Door on the
Yeah.
GameCube. So if you were gonna like, oh, I would have said either or, but yeah, that's one that I've heard a topic go back on.
Yeah.
And then we got Super Mario Kart or Super Circuit for Game Boy Advance.
Super Mario Kart.
I thought so. I didn't want to make them all too hard for you.
That's good.
All right, and then Mario Kart 64 or Diddy Kong Racing.
Mario Kart 64.
All right, I know that's
My
a
But
hard
I
man.
love Diddy Kong. I love Diddy Kong. I think it's still great.
Yeah. Yeah, they're both great. You can't go wrong, but that's a hot one, I know. Double Dash or Mario Kart Wii?
Double Dash.
Right on. Yep. That's if not my favorite, one of my favorites, Double Dash. So, okay. And I was trying to go with the Mario theme, so a little different, but Smash Melee or Smash Ultimate?
Ultimate.
All right. New Super Mario Brothers the series versus Mario 3D Land World the series. So as a whole.
3D.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with you there. Super Mario All-Stars or Mario 3D All-Stars?
Ooh. That's a toughie. Oh man. I I'm gonna have to that's a really hard one. I just like the complete package. Let's be real here. So
Hey, let's just take them both, right? But
yeah, I'll go 2D because there's more games.
yeah, yeah, it's you can't. I honestly think you can't go wrong. I think if Galaxy 2 was in 3D, that might tip the scale for a lot of people. But
Well, and
I
the cart I have has Super Mario World on it as well.
oh, well, there you go.
Very nice.
Yeah.
So so that's the only reason. That's the one I'm thinking. So I may be cheating, but
Well, I didn't have this question, but let's run it back. Super Mario All-Stars with Mario World and Mario 3D All-Stars with Galaxy 2.
I would still go, I think I'll still go 2D.
Yeah.
Yep. I think I'll say now if the 3D had Odyssey with it, that
Oh,
would take the
yeah.
cake. That would take the cake. If it was all the 3D games essentially, you get 3D World and that in there. Yeah, that would take the
I
cake. Bowser's Fury, that's a fantastic
oh,
game. So
I think you're right there, like, with Odyssey, it's like, and then if you throw in yeah, that's like a no doubter at that point. That's so
yeah.
much I think you could play that for a long time. So here is your last rapid fire question, and I think it's one of the toughest, maybe not for you, but I know this is a raging back and forth from people I've talked to. Baby Park or Coconut Mall?
So fun fact, every time we get Baby Park, I always sing Baby Park do 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 Baby Park and my chat's just like, oh my god. So but no, Coconut Mall's classic. So I'll go Coconut Mall. Although Tour did make Baby Park pretty fun with different ramps going over the middle of it and stuff. They really changed it up. So
Yeah, and I haven't played Tour, so I
Very
didn't
nice.
know that. I hope they maybe incorporate that as a track in the Mario Part 10 that we keep talking about. So,
yeah.
well, I loved your answers, man. That was awesome. That was actually a lot of fun. I love doing those kind of questions. You gotta say what you think. So you're officially off of that. You can relax. You don't have to
Okay,
feel
take
like
a breath. I mean,
Yeah.
I got Mario World on my shirt right now. You got
oh,
Mario and
right.
Yoshi,
There you go.
so like I
Yeah.
think I answered correctly there.
I think you're good, but those are tough ones, so I don't blame you either way. So now we'll move into we just have a final list of questions. It's just more geared towards you. So I'm gonna throw it to Ben. He's gonna go through some of these questions.
All right, Josh, you ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. So, what's your favorite movie line or general quote? If you have one.
Ah, you know what I probably say the most is negative Ghost Rider, the tower is full from Top Gun.
Nice.
Yeah, that's
Very
probably what I
nice.
say the most. I don't know that it's necessarily my favorite, but it's definitely one. Like anytime I hear somebody say negative, I'm always like negative Ghost Rider. It just triggers it. So
Nice. All right.
Good one.
Favorite band or artist?
oh, that changes all the time. That's kind of weird, right? Like everybody usually has a favorite, but mine is always changing. Like I've been on a like for the longest time I was on a Blink 182 kick. I
Yeah.
saw them at When We Were Young tour, and then their new album dropped and it's just absolutely fantastic. I started writing punk songs because of it. Like I was and I was not all that into them when I was younger, but that last album just hit really hard. So right now I guess I could say Blink.
Very nice. Very nice. Favorite meal or food?
I love red meat. I love meat and fire. So
Me too.
any kind of like if I could sous vide a steak and then throw it on like just some raging hot coals, like that's yeah, I love that.
Now,
Very
quick
nice.
question to throw in there: do you use charcoal or
Oh yeah,
propane?
charcoal.
You use
And
charcoal.
propane
Yeah.
accessories.
So,
Yeah,
so you're
that's
not a
right.
big Hank Hill guy. Okay, I just want to
Damn
make
it,
sure.
Bobby.
All right. Favorite vacation memory or location?
Favorite vacation memory. Wow. Wow. As a kid, we used to go like to this place in Canada called Lake Osoyoos.
Hmm.
And that was those were pretty fun vacation. We would fish, we would swim, like it was all the things. But I did, as a child of the 80s and 90s, I did have like the quintessential like 80s like movie experience at a place called Shelton. And it was like this gated community that all these families had cabins. And so like I'm riding around on my BMX and there's all these girls and like it was like the quintessential like 80s movie. So that was those are pretty fond memories for sure.
Very nice. Do you have a bucket list item?
A bucket list item is Japan. Is anything
Yeah.
and everything Japan. Super Nintendo World there, going to that new Nintendo museum that opened up there, and doing retro game collecting while I'm there.
That would be amazing. And since our podcast is called Mustaches and Coffee, we have to ask you these questions. Do you have a favorite mustache? Look.
So what's funny is being into photography, there's like a photography meme of this. He must be a relatively famous photographer, and his mustache is like it's rolled. And you guys can't see if you're only listening to the audio, but like literally, like you could fit pint glasses
Wow.
in the mustache. It's just absolutely massive. So that's but I mean, you know, Mario's mustache is pretty epic as well. So, if you guys are only listening, I put on some shades that have a mustache hanging from the glasses with Mario's hat. So, I love one of the things that's so funny. You guys asked this. If you hit the rear view in Mario Kart, Mario's mustache is flopping in the wind while he's racing.
That's
So,
awesome.
So pro tip for Mario Kart, if you want to see like how close the shells are, who's behind you, what are they throwing, hit that rear view often, especially on straightaways.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's great to know. So I'll ask the last one. So, what is your favorite coffee?
My favorite coffee. Uh, I mean, I, I, I'm not super picky with coffee, right? So like, I'd usually intermittent fast, so I drink a lot of black coffee. Right now, I've been drinking a Pete's coffee from Costco, just
Can't go
because I
wrong.
got lazy and it's already ground. But yeah, I don't know that I have I love the cold brew and the nitro stuff from Starbucks as well. But it I'm at the point with caffeine, it doesn't make me feel awake. It just makes me super jittery. So like I have to be careful. That's why I mean, even doing this tea right now, I'm like, ooh, I feel a little that's got a little punch to it, which is nice. But yeah, I mean, I really just enjoy black coffee. I was a barista for a little while, so making
nice.
lattes and stuff like that. Like again, a lot of people don't know this, but when you get a latte, take the lid off. Literally what you're paying for is the foam on the top of that drink. Like you notice how they
Yeah.
make like pretty decorations and everything. That brown foam is called like creme or something like that.
Yeah.
And it tastes amazing. But a lot of people don't. They just put their straw in or just start sipping it. And it's just like you could just have flavored coffee at that point. So so I'll put my pinky out and drink some fancy stuff as well.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta
Actually,
be.
an incredible experience if you get a chance is in Seattle. They have the Starbucks reserve, and there they'll do a lot of like pour overs and like they're roasting the coffee right there, so you're smelling it roasting while you're drinking a cup. And like it's on Capitol Hill, and it's an amazing amazing tourist stop for sure.
Yeah, I've heard of that. I'd love to go.
That's awesome. And see, we're just learning all this new stuff. I think we could have just done a whole podcast on coffee. You were talking about your history there. Maybe we missed out on that. I don't know. Maybe we'll have you back on and we'll just talk coffee. I mean, we'd love to talk more Nintendo. I think we could have went on and on with this. So we really do appreciate you being on
Yeah, thanks.
our podcast. We had a blast. We're gonna go ahead and wrap it up because we know you're busy, man. We want to get to our last segment. So let's go ahead and jump into that.
Last drop.
Brought to you by coffee. All right, take it away, Ben.
An Alabama radio show station is off the air after their 200-foot radio tower was stolen. The station's general manager, Brett Elmore, said that his maintenance crew told him that the tower had been missing. The general manager said, "This morning, my bush hog crew went down to a tower site to do an early cleanup of the property before we did some work down there. When he arrived, he called and notified me that not only was my building vandalized, but my 200-foot tower was gone. They stole every piece of the equipment out of the building, cut some wires to the tower, and somehow managed to cut down the 200-foot tower." So, listeners out there, if you happen to find a 200-foot tower, just let us know and we can contact the authorities for you. That's what I got.
Good, yeah, good and good public service announcement. If you see someone trying to transport a tower around, they're probably a stolen tower, I think. So, have you seen any going around there, Josh, in your area?
No, I haven't. They might try to hide it like they do the cell towers now and put tree branches on them. So
Yeah, you got to watch out for that. So that's good to know. Thank you, Ben, for that. That's a very important thing for us to keep an eye out for. Well, again, we can't thank you enough, Josh, for being on the podcast with us. We want to open this up to you, though. We do our due diligence where the listeners can find us, but we want you to tell our listeners where they can find you at.
yeah, guys, you can connect with me everywhere at N64Josh, X, Instagram, Farmers Only, all the places, and not really Farmers Only, but I host the Nintendo Powercast. I host the Dirt, which is the Mario Kart podcast that's just getting started. And if you want to get started in podcasting, I just put out a book called Master the Art of Podcasting. It's in the link of all my bios everywhere, and you can go to n64josh.com/masterpodcast. And it's my 16 years of experience all in a book, just for everything from naming your show, naming your episodes, the hosting, the gear, the marketing, everything, so that you can create a podcast that gets heard. And then you guys mentioned the Gaming Lo-Fi Volume 1 and 2, which you can search N64Josh on Spotify or wherever you listen to music, and you can find that stuff as well. And it's royalty free, so if you want to use it for intros, outros, YouTube videos, whatever the case may be, it won't get flagged. So have at it.
Awesome. That's some great handles there. I know for a fact I'll be checking out your book. That's something applies to the podcast for sure. And that's just something we got to commend you for. 16 years. That's a long time in any kind of profession, but you get to do something you love. So that's just awesome. So, well, we'll go ahead and do our due diligence now. Ben, why don't you tell everyone where they can find us at?
So we're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Stash and Joe is our Twitter handle, or X handle, as they say now. And if you have any questions or comments, you can email us at mustachesandcoffee@yahoo.com.
Great. Once again, can't thank you enough, Josh. Thank you so much for joining us. I had a blast.
This was
So
fun.
much deep thoughts from you. So you're welcome anytime to come back on. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, thank you for having me. It was a great time.
Great. Well, that'll about do it. So as we always say, don't bash the stash.
I need espresso for the depresso.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.